People, deluded. Now, Chelsea and Arsenal have just played out a 2-2 draw in their midweek fixture on this Tuesday. Well, start of the week, really. Both teams share the spoils. For Arsenal, obviously, considering the red card and things that happened in the game and how we actually started the game, in my opinion, a point isn't the burst of results. We live to fight another day if there is anything for Arsenal to fight on for. For Chelsea, they had early pressure in which they failed to. We were sustained under a lot of pressure. I feel, in particular, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Not that Saka was poor, I don't think he was. It just Callum Hudson-Odoi in particular in the first half down that right hand side. I feel they had a number of chances which they failed to take advantage of. In fact, I'm pretty sure before they even scored, Christensen with a kind of header thing, Tammy had a chance, and I think Kovacic, I think the ball ended up hitting Mustafi in the groin area and winded him for a bit. 3 good chances Chelsea should have scored, and I know I'm an Arsenal fan, but from a Chelsea perspective, this is potentially why they're not as clear in full for potentially high as they could be, because they're making difficult work for themselves in games at home from not killing teams, from not taking opportunities. Yeah, they scored 2 against us and they got a point, but against us and Newcastle, they should have taken 6. They've taken 2. Do you get it? From a Chelsea perspective, it's poor. From an Arsenal perspective, the positive is we didn't lose going into this game. We don't travel well at Stamford Bridge. Obviously, going down to 10 men put us down at a disadvantage. And I must admit, I weren't too happy with things. Arguably, the only positive I really saw in the game is obviously we've bagged 2, and obviously guys like Martinelli can save face. But there was a 5-minute period when we went down to 10 men in the first half. I just feel was decent. Other than that, we was quite poor today, and I think they really let down Arteta. I feel Arteta will learn a lesson now, because I said it under Emery, I said it under Lundberg, and I said it at a point under Wenger. I'm at the point with managers now, no disrespect to Mustafi, I have great sympathy with obviously the mental problems he's been going with in terms of the criticisms he's faced. That's beyond over the top. But at the point where Mustafi is Mustafi, you've got to blame the managers for playing him now. It's a bit concerning in that if Arteta believes Mustafi is a better option than Holding, what isn't Holding showing, for example? Not that Holding's developed, but anytime the games matter, like against Liverpool in the Cup or like today, Mustafi will always let you down. Mistakes happen, to be fair to Mustafi. His passing in the first half before the mistake was off, but after that mistake, I feel he reacted well. Couple important challenges and blocks and things, but the damage was more or less done, really and truly. By that point. So a point's not the worst of results considering what's happened, but considering Arteta was saying, not that any one of us believe it, probably him and himself saying if we win, not that we can get top 4, but we kind of need to win. He's kind of backs against the wall, and if the players were taking them comments at face value and really wanted top 4, and this was our real last opportunity to make some headwinds in relation to that, then obviously they haven't put themselves in any glory, people, and it's kind of shown. I'm believing now that the boys are starting to show the real Arsenal, what these lot are really like now under Arteta, and he's going to see it. Obviously, when you've seen it with Emery, when he came in, everything was going right. We was getting, fair enough, the results were different, but there was positives, people, of sorts. That can't really be that can be said differently under Arteta, but do you get what I'm saying? I think after the last game we played against Palace, was it Palace? I'm talking nonsense, boy. The Palace game as well, but the Sheffield game, the performances are dropping off, and Arteta, not that he hasn't seen already, he's really getting to see what some of these players are on. First half, I thought we was going to start off well, in the first minute, it looked like it was going to be very compact for both teams. Then the space started opening. Within this first minute I spoke about, Saka and Martinelli combined down the left-hand side, and I believe won a corner. I could be wrong. No, sorry, Saka overhit the cross, but it was positive at the time, and there are 2 most informed players despite their age, and you are a bit worried just because of their age and potential naiveties, regardless of their consistencies, because of in games like this, because of their obvious age, and all it takes is for someone not to track runners, but you're believing in them. I feel Bellerin, obviously Bellerin started, Maitland now should feel hard done by. The most Bellerin could have done today, which he did, is put in a good performance so that it's not a talking point. We've already got talking points with Mustafi and that. I feel Bellerin was decent. He is obviously off the pace, and he got forward a bit more in the second half, and it's no surprise he scored. But I think in the first half, he must have been told to do it by Arteta. He was becoming a centre mid at times almost, and Ozil was picking up not the right back row people, but like if your centre halves were here and you've been and plays advanced to the opposition's half, and you're the right back, you're supposed to be the right back where Bellerin is. Ozil was doing that sort of stuff, and I was having problems seeing what we was trying to do. Our midfield, I don't know if the players were told it, but we're just pumping long balls to Lacazette, and Lacazette isn't the most mobile and whatnot, but he puts in a decent defensive shift, and he's knackered and whatnot, and the midfield are not at it, so how can I expect the attackers to be? I feel Ozil was poor today. But after that, I feel it became apparent that Chelsea down the right-hand side, that was our left, their right, was where things were happening. Like I said at the beginning, I don't feel Saka was poor. There was a time he missed. The poorest thing he did is probably mistime the ball in the air and Callum got an effort in. But anything Callum is doing is working. He's not necessarily staying out wide. He's coming off that flank on the right-hand side and combining well. Callum Hudson-Odoi, for me, got a bit tired in the second half, but has had a good game in this. I think he technically gets an assist as well, people. And we've shot ourselves in the foot, really. I mean, I think I'm surprised Chelsea aren't ahead because, like I said, they've had three clear-cut chances of sorts with Kovacic, Christensen and Tammy prior to them scoring. But we shot ourselves in the foot. I feel Leno made a couple bad boy saves to kind of keep us in the game, and he did that throughout. But we shot ourselves in the foot with the goal. I'm not going to harp on about the Mustafi mistake. You all saw it. Mustafi is Mustafi at this moment in time. I have great sympathy for him as a man, but as a professional footballer, he should not be at this club. He should not be starting in 2020, sorry. See, that's how much he's fried me. I'm getting the results wrong. He's contracted until 2021. But through want or desire or sheer necessity, Arteta's playing him. Obviously, I'd hold him on the bench. It's for another vid, but it's concerning that if he sees Mustafi as a better option in Holding, what is Holding showing, or more concerningly, not showing him in training and whatnot? He could just demand that Mustafi's the better option, but who knows? We've shot ourselves in the foot. It's poor from Mustafi, mistimes whatever he's trying to do. Is it Tammy Abraham? I can't remember. Was it Callum or Tammy? I believe it was Tammy who was brought down. Tammy's racing clear. I don't think Luiz... listen, I'm not blaming Luiz because Mustafi's already made our bed, but I do think Luiz could have done potentially a bit better. I'm not saying he could have prevented the goal, but I don't necessarily think he dealt with things as cleanly as he potentially could have. He took the red card, he bit the bullet. Obviously, we all would have done that, but by the same logic, if you know, logically speaking, you're going to bring a man down, they're going to get a penalty, you're hoping Leno scores, but if they don't, it's kind of the same. You kind of prevented the inevitable to as such, and you've put your team a goal down. Like I said, Luiz was drawn out through Mustafi doing dumb stuff, but I don't think Luiz covered himself with any glory, but it is Mustafi's mistake and us having to react from that mistake. And like I tell you, look, whether I believe in Mustafi, which I don't, or not, it's not healthy for players to be... He looked scared, he looks not playing with a handbrake mentally, and that's not going to help you. If you're always panicking about making a mistake, people, you're going to make a mistake. It happens in life. If you are so subconsciously, it will happen, and it's not healthy for him. On top of him just not being a good footballer, it's just not healthy, and you could see it playing on his mind after the game, speaking with the players, and obviously there. To be fair, in the second half he recovered of sorts, but the damage is already done, and in fact before that he's playing a number of passes and they're going astray. But unless I forget people, I'll just mention it now. I think Xhaka you wouldn't necessarily attribute Xhaka and being disciplined consistently. I feel he had a very good game at centre half, and we're down to our bare bones at centre half. If we wasn't already, he could be a genuine option for the game against Bournemouth in the FA Cup. If the suspension carries through, which I'm pretty sure it does into the FA Cup. But we're one goal down. We're a goal down courtesy of Jorginho penalty. We're not creating anything. We've been poor. We're actually very lucky to not be a couple of goals down. I don't feel Chelsea are taking their advantage, but we have been sloppy. We've been very lethargic. There's not really any positives. I think Pepe has the beating of Emerson when he takes that opportunity. I think we could get Martinelli into the game. I feel Ozil is being poor. I feel Jack is obviously it changes at 10 men down, but I feel we're not really creating anything and stuff like that, and we can do a bit more. I did think there was a bit more organisation and a bit more reaction actually being 10 men down, but really and truly in the first half, I'm looking at it, we've shot ourselves in the foot. We have not started the game well. We have not looked to play any football. We're very much carrying on the themes of why we dropped points against Sheffield United. It's quite appalling, really. We just never looked in it from the start, really, people. Yeah, man, we just did not look in it, people. And like I said, the only saving grace is that 3-4. We're not 3-4 down, and I want to see a reaction, people. And like I said at the start, I'm starting to believe the true Arsenal, in terms of the players, are revealing themselves now. We're getting to see when adversity is placed at these lot's feet, how they respond, and not everybody's responding in a positive sense, really and truly. I feel Pepe looks like he can make something happen. I feel Bellerin is looking alright, considering he's still a bit rusty and things like that. But we're just not doing enough, people. We're not doing enough. We're really not. I felt we started the second half a bit better. I feel Chelsea made this game harder than they had to be via not taking their chances. I feel when we went down to 10 men, we started to attack a bit more, have more of a go and things like that. Obviously, same way Chelsea got fortunate with Mustafi, someone you don't attribute to making mistakes. Kante slips on the ball via a counter-attack. Martinelli scores, and it's another big top 6 game he scores in at an away ground, and he's an incredible player for an 18-year-old. What's that, 10 goals now? Let's be careful with the expectations on him and let's not overrate him, but I do honestly believe he's the best footballer in the world. Obviously, it's all banter, people. He didn't have the best of games by his own standards generally, but he put in a performance, and most importantly, he's made the difference today, really and truly. He's shown Lacazette how to score away from home. To be fair to Lacazette, I know people are on his back a lot of the time, myself included, but I feel today he worked his socks off, being down to 10 men and not creating anything with 11 men. Anyways, it weren't one of them things. Couple of times, like towards the end of the game, he could have set us on one devilish counter-attack and he messed up for that, but it is what it is, people. When we went down to... The more it went on at 1-1, you were thinking as an Arsenal fan, there is going to be a moment where we get shagged, where Chelsea steal the 3 points, and it did feel like it came via Aspilicueta and us switching off. Admittedly, people, they said it's not offside. For me as an Arsenal fan, I'm always going to be a bit biased. I think Tammy Abraham is interfering with play. I'm looking to VAR. Nothing's happening. I'm always going to say that like I have. And it felt like the inevitable that... As an Arsenal fan, the headlines felt a bit too good that 10 man, imagine it, 10 man, regardless, people, 10 man Arsenal come back from behind and claim a solid point away at Stamford Bridge, a ground they don't travel too well. It's feeling a bit too good to be true to me, and I'm starting to believe it can be us the more it's going on. But when they've made it 2-1, it's firmly expected, but it still feels like my heart's been ripped out. But it is what it is, and I mean, an unlikely source eventually popped up with a goal. Kepa's had a lot of question marks, rightly so, and probably should have some more question marks, because there's not the cleanliness of strikes from Bellerin on Kepa's part. He should be doing more, but I felt Guendouzi was good when he came on, to be fair with you, in the minutes he played. But Bellerin, you know, starting to go forward, something for all the, as well as I think he played, didn't do in the first half. He's starting to go a bit forward, swings it with his left foot. You don't shoot, you don't score. You like, it's not rocket science. He puts it in, it's 2-2, and at least the fans go home with some credibility, the ones that did make the journey. It is what it is. It's 2-2. If you offered me a point against Chelsea before the game, of course I would have bit your arm off to take a point. And on that, because I can sleep well, I'm okay. But again, you're looking at games like this, whether, don't get me wrong, Chelsea should have killed off this game, but in my opinion. But looking at as an Arsenal fan, did we start the game in the best possible way? No, we didn't. And it's more a case of us dropping points, not necessarily because the other team was resurgent or showed us anything. No disrespect to Chelsea, it's because we are shooting ourselves in the foot, whether it's individual mistakes or lapse in concentration. Obviously, Arteta cannot account for individual mistakes, but it is what it is in that regards. Yeah, we get a point. We live to fight another day. It's FA Cup. It's FA Cup duty now, I believe, against Bournemouth. We travel to Bournemouth on Monday. Don't quote me. I could be wrong. But it is what it is. 2 Premier League games, two draws. It's not the best of form. We just keep drawing games. Yeah, it's a difficult season, but it is what it is. On that note, I'm going to get out of here. DG.